Today we're going over the new hero banner for Engage in Fire Emblem Heroes. The second half of the year is going to be pretty crazy for banners. Next month is CYL, and September is probably Fortune's Wee's debut. The harmonic CYL 4 pairs are inevitable as well for Maximum 3 Houses Discourse, so yeah, good luck. Now, the last new heroes banner before this gauntlet is going to go to Engage. Unfortunately, we only have one actual new hero, and that's going to be Jade. Taking up a spot is Gróa, our daughter from the Book 7 Tempest Trials side plot. Our last two spots are for Rearmed female Alear and an aided male Alear. Alear is handing out swords and Sommie, so come and get 'em. Our first star focus unit is Jade, who you can get at 4 or 5 star rarity. She should demo into the 3 to 4 star pool after the banner is over. Jade is one of Diamon's retainers as an X armor. For stats, Jade should have 53 HP, 40 attack, 23 speed, 49 defense, and 38 res. Jade has the typical high attack and defense for an army unit, and she invests into HP over res more. 23 speed is not super min-maxed, but it does allow Jade to get to Patience's 30 speed without rise above. Jade will also have triple super boons for attack, defense, or res, so take your pick. For old skills, Jade has Ignis, attack and defense ideal 3, and Wily Fighter 3. Wily is also on Wallace, but Jade offers it in the demo pool now. For a new inheritable weapon, Jade has the Forged Axe Plus. We got the Lance and Sword versions, so here's the Axe counterpart. Forged Axe grants plus 6 attack and defense to allies within 3 spaces at start of either phase. It grants plus 5 stats in combat. Forged Axe then grants true damage equal to X, and flat DR equal to 50% of X. X is just going to be the highest total field boss on the user or allies within 3 spaces. Forged Axe basically has treachery true damage, with half of that also becoming flat DR. Like any other field buff dependent weapons, these are fun with any unit with 18 years plus 3 field buff buffing gimmick. You just gotta find some speed and res buffs. Now unfortunately, armors are not the best buffing units, so if you want to stick with Forged Axe, you might want to find some friends. Jade can use the typical armor savior builds like any other unit. She can take magical damage, but obviously she is skewed more toward physical damage tanking. You can upgrade to Wily Fighter 4, but if you just want the buff neutralization effect, then you could also use the Wily Fighter 3 Sacred Seal and then run another fighter skill like Slick or Assault. For aid skills, Diluvial Boost or Earthfire Boost are still decent for HP and stats, but it's incredibly tough to compete with Rise Above 4, 7 HP, plus 12 flat stats, and 7 true damage and flat DR. Now, it's a very simple skill, but there aren't that many other interesting aid skills for army units. Strat Flame's probably the most unique with its Breath type cooldown and Flame Tiles on initiations. It's a fun option, but it doesn't grant HP or res for journal tanking. Now, to initiate, you also probably want something like Strat Assault or Assault Rush. If you want to go for these more aggressive skills, Patience's guaranteed potent follow-up is great. It will require more merges or a speed boon, but Jade could hit 30 speed with just a little more help from something like the Squad A Sacred Seals. Now, of course, nothing's stopping you from using Rise Above regardless, but if there are better A skills in the future, then Jade has options. Now to match her Iron Wall title, Jade can use the brand new Iron Fighter from Jormungandr if you did end up getting her. Iron Fighter has some strict conditions, but reducing follow-ups to 1 damage max is very powerful. The general idea is that Jade just needs to survive the enemy's first attacks with one of the guaranteed 40% dare specials like Shatter Slash, Arch Rival, Comet, or Armored Flare. Iron Fighter will handle your follow-ups, but it only works once in enemy phase in normal distance fights. If the foe attacks with a long range style from 4 spaces out, it can trigger as many times as it wants, so in that sense, Iron Fighter is better for a far safe build. As for maximum tanking potential, besides Rise Above, Jade would also like things like Arcane Cake. It grants defensive res field buffs, empathy, and buff neutralization. That's on top of its 15 XL flat DR2. Now besides Forged Axe or Arcane Weapons, Jade could also still use the fun Ninja Chakrams. You got Brave Attacks with a decent 15 true damage and 10 flat DR. You also get healing on hit. If you're not looking for a super expensive build, that's probably one of the best upgrades to work with, and it's from Ninja Milshez, who is a heroic route unit. Armors have plenty of fighter skill options with a follow-up attack, so you can try to sneak in a quad attack on those without no follow-up. All in all, Jade's a fairly standard free-to-play armor. Everyone did just get access to more Micklin copies and Marnie Stud's Innate Miracle, but if you wanted a new merge project, then Jade should be fine. The next unit is Gróa, who is a light mythic that boosts attack. Straight from the Tempest Trials, Gróa is a flying blue mage with 40 HP, 47 attack, 49 speed, 32 defense, and 21 res. Very offensive stats with a speed super boon. For old skills, Gróa has logic and will empower it with attack and speed Aria's true damage. She also has the best skill in the game, Reposition. Gróa's Tome has a couple after-acting effects. 1, Gróa inflicts times grip only on the closest foe. 2, she inflicts the -7 speed and res, sabotage, and exposure on closest foes and anyone within 2 spaces. Gróa has Kanto distance with a max of 3, min of 1. After she uses Kanto, if she used an assist skill in the current turn, then Gróa gets to go again and re-enables Kanto. Now for combat, Gróa has Sling, plus 15 stats, 25 true damage, 15 flat DR, and when initiating, she gets any HP Desperation. Gróa will inflict debuffs mid-phase, including times grip, which acts like feud, but it prevents the foe from sharing their support skills with allies. Gróa only hits the closest foe with times grip, so it won't tag everyone. You do have the chance to inflict it twice though, because Gróa gets an extra action if she uses reposition. More on this in a bit. Now, combat-wise, nothing too crazy besides Desperation. Even with logic, Gróa probably doesn't want to get hit at all. For her unique B skill, Gróa has Maiden of Light, and it's basically a souped-up attack and speed favor. If Gróa uses a rally or movement assist, she grants the Coax status to an ally. Additionally, if Gróa is part of any assist skill, she gives +6 attack and speed, empathy, and times gate to herself, the target ally, and any other units within 2 spaces after movement. On top of this, Gróa hands out the -1 cooldown from favor, but this part only triggers once per turn. Now as a reminder, the Coax status does not do anything. Its only purpose is for the next effect. For Gróa and allies with Coax active, deal true damage equal to 10 plus the highest total attack and speed field boost on Gróa or those allies. If these units do not trigger Savior, they also get Brave attacks. Now for allies who have Empathy active but not Coax, they get 10 true damage in battle. Last we have some personal effects. Gróa will get Pass, she inflicts -5 attack speed and res, and she has another 15 flat DR. She also gets Phono Follow-Up and Breath type cooldown effects. Maiden of Light is mostly attack and speed favor with an AoE, although we did trade the 50% DR piercing for brave attacks and more true damage. Now assuming you keep the +6 attack and speed, Gróa and your coaxed ally can get 22 true damage with brave hits. As for times gate, this is the status that lets allies within 4 spaces warp next to the unit. It's a very good ability, and Gróa has Pass to abuse it. If Gróa gets into attack range, she has no follow-up, desperation, brave hits, and breath type cooldown. She is definitely a support unit, but yeah, that's still gonna hurt. Gróa brings a new inheritable C skill called Shadow Shift X. When Kanto triggers, you get to use Shadow Reposition. For unit and allies within 3 browser columns, this skill grants +4 stats in combat and heals 7 HP after combat. Last, the user gets a bonus 5 true damage and 5 flat DR. Basically, Shadow Shift now gives its stat boost and healing to allies from long range, making it an even better support skill. I'm not sure why it's called Shadow Shift X. I guess if you turn your phone, the 3-row, 3-column range is like an X? I don't know. As a light mythic, Gróa offers a ton of good support, including an AoE attack and speed favor, speed and res debuffs, and multiple true damage effects for allies. Gróa also brings times grip for feud and times gate for warping. The last unique perk is Coax, giving someone brave attacks. As long as it's not a savior, brave attack support is super good. Keep in mind Gróa benefits from all of these effects. With Maiden of Light's -1 cooldown, Slaying Logic can start a fight with 3 cooldown. If Gróa's debuffs stay on the foe, Logic gets another -1 cooldown. Gróa has brave attacks and breath type cooldown, so Logic can charge on the first hit and proc on the second. If the foe doesn't stop her, Gróa also can continue with a quad attack via desperation and no follow. While Gróa isn't the tankiest unit, if she does survive a counterattack and still quads, you might be able to trigger a second Logic. Maybe giving her like miracle support could be fun. For another special, Gróa can use Wind Edge, but that doesn't have -1 cooldown like Logic. She can also use AoE specials with the usual life and death flat attack skills. Gróa is going to eventually charge up her AoE with the favor cooldown each turn. Her weapon's 25 true damage does work on AoE specials, and so does exposure, so that's at least 35 true damage as a bonus. Naturally, Gróa's attack buffs and res debuffs also contribute to AoE damage. For the most part, Gróa does have a full kit. Alear gives 20 true damage to Logic, Shadow Shift gives more mobility and support. She could use Uplift and Imbue for long range instant healing, or Fatal Smoke if you want Gróa to assassinate a miracle target herself. Besides stat boosters, there are 2 sacred seals you can use to fill in Gróa's field boss and debuff coverage, Attack and Defense Snag for debuffs, and Defense and Res Link for field boss. I would also say you could use Flyer Formation or Aerobatics because Gróa doesn't initially have warping. Those skills could help her get around before times gate unleashes the 4 range warping. All in all, Gróa does look quite good if you want a support unit. She can cover Light Seasons while Haether and her new Refine can cover Astra. I wonder if our next daughter is going to be another good support unit too. Female Alear is our next Rearmed hero, and she's got Engage's S-Rank Calibogue sword. I do not remember it being that big, but it looks good, so whatever. Now, Alear is also in her Sommie outfit for a change of pace. Like her first iteration, Alear is a sword infantry with 40 HP, 46 attack, 49 speed, 38 defense, and 31 res. She has a speed super boon with pretty standard speedy sword fighter stats. For old skills, well, barely a month old skill, we have attack and speed Taker Burst. As a quick refresher, this gives great talent, attack, and speed now. It neutralizes attack and speed debuffs, has 20% speed scaling true damage with flat DR, it has no guard, and last you get pre-amp pulses -1 cooldown. All in all, it's a pretty fun skill if you want to ramp up attack and speed stats. Arcane Calibogue is the 4th arcane sword. It has the usual slang, plus 15 stats in combat, 25 true damage, 15 Excel type flat DR, and 50% DR piercing. For the unique perks, Calibogue grants plus 6 attack and speed, Draconic Hex, and Hexblade statuses to allies within 2 spaces at the start of either phase. Generally, Calibogue grants more stats, true damage, and flat DR over Renegade. It trades -1 cooldown for DR piercing, and the support went from plus 5 attack and speed in combat to plus 6 attack and speed field boss. We did give up healing support for Draconic Hex, which tries to inflict -10 stats in combat. As for Hexblade, that is adaptive damage, to target the lower of the foe's defensive res. Generally, it's just a nice ability to have as an extra. To help stand out, Alear will have a unique 5 cooldown special, Covenant Blast. This is a 100% speed scaling special. At start of either phase, Alear grants Divinely Inspiring and the status that adds plus 10 to the speed roll for the foe to double for allies within 3 spaces. At the same time, if Alear has no support partner, she will grant the Bonded status to the ally with the highest attack from start of battle. Similar to Coke's, the Bonded status does not do anything except act as a check for the next effect. For Alear's support partner or her bonded ally, she gives them 40% unpierceable damage reduction for all attacks in combat. This is like Emblem Lucina, but with different conditions. Those conditions are, this effect only triggers once per turn if the foe initiates combat and attacks within 3 spaces. However, if Alear's ally initiates in the player phase, then the effect can trigger any number of times. It can also trigger as much as it wants if the foe initiates from 4 spaces away with a long range style. Continuing, we have some personal effects. Alear has Distant Counter and her own 40% damage reduction. If decreasing the speed with a double by 10 would trigger a follow-up, Alear triggers a 100% potent hit. Backing up a little, Alear provides unpierceable DR support for 1 ally. She also makes the team tougher to double, and Divinely Inspiring is stronger if Alear gives it to at least 2 other units. You need 2 Divinely Inspired allies to be within 3 spaces of each other, and you can get plus 6 stats, -2 cooldown before the foe attacks, and last you can heal a HP on hit. Generally speaking, Alear gives a lot of defensive support, and she does encourage your team to stick together. Alear has 2 new inheritable skills to pick up. Swift Life is another perfect attack and speed upgrade. It grants 7 HP. At start of combat, if above 25% health, or if you're within 3 spaces of an ally, you get plus 9 attack and speed, 7 true damage, 7 flat DR, no follow-up if you outspeed, and last he heals 7 HP after combat. Because this is in the ideal type skill line, if you're above 25% HP and you're within 3 spaces of an ally, you get a bonus plus 3 stats. Alear does want to stay near allies, and she wants no follow-up like any speedy unit, so Swift Life is quite nice. Compared with the hot Rise Above 4, Swift Life gives in-combat stats, no follow-up, and 7 HP healing. Rise Above has flat stats, plus 12 defense and res, and no activation conditions. No follow-up is good, but if you can get it elsewhere, Rise Above's bonus defense and res is a decent amount. Now if you want to compare with Swift Spectre, that skill has Kanto Distance instead of Swift Life's more defensive perks. Kanto is a great ability too, and it's a little tougher to get than no follow-up. With that being said, Alear does have a new Kanto Distance skill for us with Thunder Spectre. Yes, the Brutal Tempest upgrade is finally here. You get +1 movement, Kanto Distance +1, and the bonus stats are upgraded to a max of +6 if you move 3 spaces. Like other modern upgrades, you get 5 true damage and 5 flat DR too. Brutal Tempest is an incredible ability to get in and out of combat. Tumultuous Echo will still get the job done, but if you want it in the C slot, then Thunder Spectre is the new option. Overall, Rearmed Alear brings nice stat support with Draconic Hex, Divinely Inspiring, and with +6 attack and speed. She grants the tougher to double status, and Divinely Inspiring also has cooldown with healing. Now, for one of Alear's allies, she's going to give them 40% unpierceable DR. That could be a very good effect to work around. As for her personal combat, Alear has a little bit of everything. She's got distant counter to enemy phase, or you could go in and out with Thunder Spectre. If Alear is near her inspired allies with a foe initiates, she could potentially trigger Covenant Blast on a counterattack immediately. Even if she moves away to initiate from her team, Alear could still trigger her special, but it would require her to get her third potent hit, and she needs to tank a counterattack. Tinker Burst's no guard and pre-impulse cooldown will help charge Covenant Blast. Now if you want to be more aggressive, Alear could use Momentum Echo. If you can get any minus from cooldown effect, she might put a trigger Covenant Blast right at the start. If the foe survives combat, there's a chance she triggers a second special later. For the most part, Alear's base kit is going to be fine though. You could use Rise Above if you can get no follow-up elsewhere, or you could use Tumultuous Echo instead of Thunder Spectre. One fun combo with Arcane Calibogue will be with that new Devoted Res Tenet Hone. For infantry units, that would give +6 field buffs to the entire team, along with Debuff Neutralization and Draconic Hex. That's not too shabby. Now for a more defensive playstyle, Alear could use Pair Up to stack the speed roll effects. She could also use Counter Dull, Nelsia Void, or Nelsia Disrupt Echo to pair with Distant Counter. All in all, Rearmed Alear is sort of a jack of all trades type unit, but you could swap some skills around if you want to specialize more. She has some nice skills out of the box, but as an infantry unit, she will get a lot more great options in the future. The nice part about infantry rearmed units is that you can always give them a lot of different skills for future inheriting. Our last unit for today is Male Alear. His aided accessory is Sommie, which is as good as any reason to get him. Now interestingly, this Alear is a rare infantry dragon. For stats, he's got 40 HP, 45 attack, 49 speed, 44 defense, and 31 res. Alear's got a sweet super boon, and he is in fact a trainee. On top of the bonus trainee stats, you have to add +1 to each of those stats because aided heroes get their own stat boost. Do take note that unlike the past dragon alts, Male Alear is abandoning his higher res focus. This time, it's all about defense. As for old skills, Alear's got Pair Up 4, and that's it. For his weapon, Alear has Divine Aid Arts. For unit and allies within 3 rows or columns, Alear gets +15 stats in combat and allies get +5. Everyone will get full tempo effects, and like his counterpart, Alear will make it tougher to double his team. This time it's a support aura, which can indeed stack with the status version. For personal effects, this is an 11 might, slaying Brave Dragonstone. Alear deals 25 true damage per hit and has 15 Excel flat DR. Last, he's got no follow-up cause Sommie is a speedster. For the most part, Alear is once again throwing hands with magical Brave hits. It grants tempo and the tougher to follow up effect for his team, along with some stats. Male Alear's unique A skill has been updated. Emblem's Marvel states at start of either phase grant Divinely Inspiring, Bulwark, and the 80% DR versus AoE special status to allies within 3 spaces. If Alear has 3 allies within 3 spaces, then after start of skill's trigger on enemy phase, or after the foe initiates, he will neutralize all penalties on himself. He will not cleanse penalties applied at the same time though. In addition, if Alear has 3 allies within 3 spaces when a foe initiates, he will get Miracle to survive a fatal blow. After combat, he will also heal 99 HP, and this Miracle Revive works 1 time per map. For other effects, Alear gets Distant Counter and +9 stats in combat. He deals 20 true damage and gets flat DR equal to X. If Alear has triggered his Miracle effect, X is going to be equal to 20. If Alear has not revived yet, then X is equal to 10. This Alear also has Divinely Inspiring and adds Bulwark with the anti-AoE status to create a stronger frontline. He also self-cleanses his own penalties and will revive 1 time per map. Alear will get 10 true damage and flat DR normally, but like I was saying, Alear will get stronger after almost dying. Hopefully the 20 true damage and flat DR after can help him finish the fight. The main reason Alear swapped to a defense focus for this ult is because he has a new dragon-only special called Dragon's Briar. This 5 cooldown special boosts damage by 100% defense. Similar to the 5 cooldown armored specials, the 40% DR effect works twice in combat. That means you can use it against the first 2 Brave hits, or you can use it on a regular attack and a follow-up attack. Last, as the name suggests, you're going to get Briar's 40% damage reflection for stronger counterattack retaliations. If you wanted a 5 cooldown special for dragons with guaranteed 40% DR, then Dragon's Briar is their new option. This should be a nice option for flying or cavalry dragons like Mur or Moosebow. They didn't really have a guaranteed 40% DR special option until recently with the Wind or Ice Edge specials, and even then, those are not defense focused like Dragon's Briar here. If you want to improve your counterattacks, Briar's damage reflection is nice, although armored dragons may just want to stick with Armored Flare instead if they plan to use Briar's save. Reminder that Twin Save does not affect these types of specials. Do note that unlike Comet, this 5 cooldown special does not have any cooldown perks. You may want to plan around that. Alear technically has a second new inheritable skill, but it is just Thunder Spectre like his female counterpart. Brutal Tempest was by far the most common Tempest skill, so unsurprisingly its upgrade also has 2 users right on debut. Aided Alear doesn't grant as much stat support, but he does have mostly defensive support perks like his counterpart. Divinely Inspiring wants units to stick together, and Boar can protect your backline. The 80% DRE versus AoE status is super nice to have, and Alear's team is tougher to double once again. Now, last you got Tempo support, which is generally just useful for anyone. For example, the No Guard effect will allow Alear to trigger his Dragonspire special if he gets a quad attack and the foe counters at some point. Actually, if you stick with the team and get Divinely Inspiring's -2 cooldown, then Alear can trigger a special on his second Brave for Retaliation. Basically, like usual, Alear does want to outspeed, so he can get those swallows. Despite having Thunder Spectre, this Alear has even more effects that want him to stay with his teammates than his Rearmed counterpart. Besides Divinely Inspiring only working with allies within 3 spaces, Pair Up is in the same boat. If you initiate too far with your 3 movement, then there goes a bunch of effects. In addition, Alear's Miracle is enemy phase only. There's nothing wrong with 3 movement and Kanto, but Thunder Spectre is kind of an odd skill for this type of kit. If you want to stick with the defensive playstyle, Alear could swap that out to something like Breath of Life 4, Kanto Control, Barricade, or you could use the new Tenet Hone field buffing skills. As for the B slot, Pair Up does stack its tougher to double effect with Alear's weapons, so it would generally be nice to keep. Rejuvenate is an interesting option for its Nelsy Disrupt effect. That would be nice if you want to stick with your distant counter playstyle. Now for other skills, you could use Comet, but I think Dragonspire is fine to keep. If you wanted to get cute with cooldown, then Conjuring Breath for player phase or Steady Breath for enemy phase could maybe get double special procs. All in all, Alear is switching up his higher res focus to a higher defense one, although really that's just for Dragon's Briar. He's got a bunch of defensive effects and is once again rocking Miracle at distant counter. Hopefully all of that is enough to protect Sommie. That will be it for this month's new hero banner for Engage. Jade makes her Fae debut, and Gróa is also here for the Book 7 Tempest Trials side story. Naturally, a new arcane sword is bound to be super popular, and female Alear has great skills to share. Also fun prize is the Sommie's Aid accessory from male Alear. Now if you don't plan to summon, we do have a Grand Hero battle unit, I know, shocking. Also making his Fae debut is going to be Boucheron. We'll talk about him more in the next video. Good luck on your summons, and get ready for the rest of the crazy banner lineups in the second half of the year. Gonna have to make some tough decisions very soon. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.